on this Football Friday. Week 18 watch, we have 3 monster games this weekend. The first of them will be on ESPN tomorrow afternoon. Peter Schrager joins us from Tampa. You will be there working the Panthers and Bucks. What's the most important thing you're watching for in this game in Tampa Bay?
If we can get 2 players back for Tampa, Kalijah Kancey and Tristan Wirfs. Both of them have practiced this week. Both of them massive, massive pieces to this team. One of them dominates the offensive line. One of them dominates the defensive line. It's all or nothing for Tampa, and even with that, they need help from the Saints to get in the playoffs. But talking to the Buccaneers folks yesterday, Kancey and Wirfs, 2 veteran leaders, 2 guys who they need in the trenches.
All right, we'll see all that in the pregame. Harry, the Seahawks and 49ers are the late game on ESPN tomorrow night. That one is straight up for the 1 seed. What are you watching for?
It's going to be quarterback Sam Darnold. Can you be the best quarterback on the field in this matchup going up against Brock Purdy? But also, can you complete your New Year's resolution this year because you didn't do it last year? Same situation, right? You have an opportunity to get the number 1 seed in the NFC and also win your division. Can you be the best player, not just quarterback on the field this Sunday versus a depleted defense of the San Francisco 49ers?
And then Sunday night, we will have the Steelers and Ravens to finish the season. And for one team, it will quite literally be the finish of their season. Bart, what are you watching for in this game?
As it should be, Green. All the marbles on the line. Lamar Jackson playing as a wounded warrior. Will he be willing to use his legs? Because Tyler Huntley last week was willing to use his legs and complement Derrick Henry. Will he be willing to take the price with the tender ribs right there, especially the floating one, which Harry knows all about? It's a painful thing, but warriors fight through pain.
Well, speaking of Lamar Jackson, he was asked about his future in Baltimore yesterday and if he plans to play on Sunday, and so much of the discussion that has swirled around him. This is what he said.
Fans do ask, like, does Lamar want to be here? Is he where he wants to be? What?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I don't even know where that come from.
Probably because, I mean, some people think they're just waiting for you to sign a contract that gets something done with the team.
So we got to focus on winning right now. So contract talk can be after the season or whatever, but during the season, I'm locked in.
Starting Sunday in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm going to be out there.
Okay, so before we get to the game, let's just do that. Bart, you were shaking your head. Why?
Yeah, because questions like this is always going to come up with Lamar Jackson because he represents himself, right? Because, listen, feelings get hurt in contract negotiations, things that can be said to your agent that he filters out that he never says to you. But when the player is there, how can you have those tough conversations when you have to have your quarterback feeling good about himself to go out on the football field? So I understand Lamar Jackson, where he's coming from and why the contract isn't signed. If it was a contract extension, everybody would know he wants to be there. And because of the ties with Miami, people think that he wants to go play home.
Peter, all this stuff swirling around him, something or nothing?
Well, there was a major piece in the Baltimore Sun last week by Mike Preston, who's a very respected columnist, in which there were a lot of little breadcrumbs of people in the organization throwing some shade at Lamar Jackson, which leads to some questions. They win without him last week, and a couple of years ago, he didn't play in the final weeks of the season, and there were a lot of questions around that when his contract was looming. I love that he said, I'm playing 100%, and I love that he said he wants to be there. From everything I've gathered from the Ravens organization, they absolutely want Lamar Jackson to be the quarterback of their future.
It would seem quite stunning if that were to be a divorce that we get. Now, the coaches are a whole separate conversation. I think there'll be a lot of talk about the futures for Mike Tomlin and or John Harbaugh after this game, but part of it will be determined by who wins. So, Harry, let's go on the field. What do you expect in the game on Sunday night in Pittsburgh?
Well, for the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, I think it's on the coaching staff. You look at Todd Monken. I understand that Lamar Jackson is your quarterback, but you got to remember, a guy by the name of Derrick Henry is on your roster who rushed for over 200-something yards last week and 4 touchdowns. This is the same Derrick Henry when Baltimore had the number 1 seed a few years ago that came in and beat you by himself alone. So get the football to Derrick Henry. When I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, how are they going to get it done? No DK Metcalf, and you also are losing your tight end as well that Aaron Rodgers is very fond of. So, like, who is going to be able to get it done and step up to the plate and be able to receive the football from Aaron Rodgers?
Bart, I don't recognize this Baltimore Ravens defense. I see a lot of high-priced, high-valued names, but I don't see the productivity. I don't see the tenacity that I'm used to seeing. And I'm scared of Gainwell, because Gainwell is the matchup that I think the one matchup that they have. He's one of their explosive players, and can Valdez-Scantling kind of make plays down the field. Gainwell has been, probably a revelation, better as a receiver, also as a running back. and they have a mismatch. Do you decide to put Hamilton on him to try and neutralize them? But these games are all going to come down to, I played in a million of these. They're always going to come down to 3 points. And who makes that decision could determine what happens with the future of the coaches on these teams.
How about that, Peter? How about the big picture of all of this? It's going to get very noisy around the losing team on Monday.
Yeah, it sure will. And I almost find that to be as fascinating a storyline as who wins this game. Harbaugh and Tomlin, both are the two longest tenured coaches in the NFL. Both fan bases are restless with the way these teams are performing this year. And there's talk on both that maybe it's time for a change. But that doesn't come from those organizations internally. And I've said this before. This won't be one of those where either one wakes up and gets a call from their agent saying, oh my gosh, we just got the news, you're fired. There's going to be a long conversation if either one of these gentlemen leave their position. It's going to be a respectful, hey, on mutual terms, we're going to move on. That said, I look at this Pittsburgh team, I look at Aaron Rodgers, and I also look at a guy who lives for these moments. And the last time these two teams played a couple of weeks ago, same exact situation. They played Baltimore, and it was in Baltimore. And the Steelers came out swinging right from the jump, and the Ravens did not have an answer. So don't just look at the depth chart and look at last week in Cleveland and think that the Steelers are going to just take a nap and let this one. They're home. It's Rodgers. And Greeny, if you remember, Week 18 at home, the last time he put on a Packers uniform, he lost in a game in Lambeau to the Lions. And it was one that he still lives with today, and that was in 2022. So yep. I think Rodgers has something and a score to settle here. I would be shocked if they came out flat on Sunday night.
Very quickly, look at the picks up there. Bart, there was never any question you were going to pick the Ravens in this game. Harry, you like Baltimore as well?
Yes, because of Derrick Henry in the run game. Pittsburgh has showed us all season long that they can be got in that department and stopping the run. So can you be able to stop Derrick Henry? I don't think it's going to be possible.
Back in the day, something like this, and M&T Bank used to warrant you a red dot. Let's see if the Ravens took that personal, because not only did you come to our house and beat us, you wanted to show us up. That usually means that somebody got to die.
We'll see what happens. Our Week 18 regular season finale is a doubleheader. It's tomorrow. Again, Peter will be there as part of our coverage of the Buccaneers and the Panthers. That one's for the NFC South in almost every way. And then the nightcap is Seahawks and Niners, and that one in every way is for the top seed in the NFC. Peyton and Eli will be on ESPN2 for that game. Another spectacular day of football on ESPN. Coming up, a Rebel shocker in the Sugar Bowl. Trinidad Shambles sparking a comeback for the ages. Ole Miss with a stunner. We got all the reaction as we roll on. So Football Friday, Chicago.
Passing yardage prop, 238.5 yards. Why does this matter to us today? Because Caleb Williams is 270 yards from 4,000, which would make him the first Bears quarterback in franchise history to throw for 4,000 yards. So do we want to play the over? We're looking to that. He's covered it in half his games this season, including each of the last 3. Detroit's secondary is highly suspect and banged up, but here's the problem. Philadelphia is going to play at the exact same time in the afternoon window as Chicago. Chicago's on the track for the 2 seed. If the Eagles are trailing Washington, Johnson could pull his starters out of that game, and you might not get enough passing opportunities. So be careful. Once they throw some first half over-unders up, that's where I'd be looking at Caleb Williams over.
Yeah, the Eagles, I think, from the sense they get, are not going to play their guys. So maybe they give that game away, although you never know how these games go even that way.
4.5-point favorite despite yanking their starters.
Yeah, and that number's moved to 237.5 since we started this conversation, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But again, he's saying watch the first half number.